Today we have an unboxing for you and a review of the Fellow Ode coffee grinder. But before we get into it, I just want to say welcome to Kabin's Coffee Corner. This channel is designed to help you choose what you want to brew with at home. I do a lot of comparisons and reviews and unboxings on this channel to help you get a better idea of the gear that you might want to purchase. If you'd like to support this channel, please use the affiliate link below where I'll make a slight amount of commission at no extra charge to you when you make a purchase using one of the links. Also, I would really appreciate it if you please like and subscribe to my channel. That really helps me produce more content and get my footage out to more people. And lastly, I do have an Instagram account called Kabin's Coffee Corner, so that you're more than welcome to follow me there. So this I bought locally at a coffee shop called Archetype, which is not sponsored by this, but I'm a big fan of it, and they really help me continue to make videos because it provides a lot of knowledge when you have a good coffee shop near you that you can go to. So I'm going to be brewing this and doing most of my comparisons with Archetype Coffee's home blend for my videos. So let's go ahead and get into the unboxing here. We got a nice box with the Ode logo on there. I'm going to go ahead and slip this out of the way here. So initially we got some of the images of Fellow on here. We have the Atmos bean container, the Ode, the Fellow Stag EKG, the Fellow Dripper, and the Fellow Joey cup here. In here we have a nice presentation of a user manual, as well as a Sasquatch on there. They're really a big fan of Sasquatches. But I bought this grinder solely just to review on YouTube here for you, and I'm going to give this as a gift to a close friend of mine. So I'm excited to do that, and I'm excited to just give this review for you before I send it off to him. So we have the Ode brush here, Fellow Ode brush. I really like the brush. I've actually purchased a few of those separately. And then I'm going to pull out the centerpiece here. Alright. So it looks like oh, there we go. It just slips on over the grinder here. And I love Fellow because all of their stuff matches super well. You can get the Atmos the Atmos bean canister, the flat black. You can get the Fellow Ode, of course, in the matte black here. I'm wondering if they're ever going to make a white version of it. You can get their Fellow Carter mug, their Stag X dripper, all of their stuff in this nice flat matte black color, which I'm a really big fan of. Alright, so I'm going to put this off to the side here. And there we have it. This is what you get. The entire Fellow Ode right here. We have a cable. The one thing, I don't like this on most of Fellow products, and most products when they don't have a place where you can hide the cord very easily. So basically, if it's on your countertop and you can't drop it off the back, it gets in the way and it just doesn't look as good as it could, which just bothers me because most of the time this is going to be on your kitchen counter. Off the looks of it, it's small, it's short, but it's longer than I kind of expected. We have the grind indicator here, which is a nice click adjustment. We have the lid here, which has all of the kind of explanations of where to grind and what the grind settings are, and you just simply feed things through. This has a nice auto off feature here. You have this, oh, that's the on and off button. Looks very similar to the Stag EKG. And then we have the bean canister, which has a nice little place for you to pour out your beans, as also a well to kind of like make them go in a little bit. So I'm curious to see how this is gonna look to static. This like fits very firmly in there, and there's barely any gap to get it underneath. And it looks like, I guess you can get it on any angle, but it just snaps into place, so it's always going to be in the right spot and centered every single time, which is kind of nice. But I already don't like how close it is to it. it makes it kind of difficult to slide in so far. Maybe you'll get used to it over time. And it's got this little side knocker here that you just kind of press down to knock out the beans. And then the guide there as well. Here's my question is the looks of it. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of the world. It's grown on me since I first saw the design released. But it looks like it's going to be nice and fit under countertops easily. But I'm just not a big fan of the look. And I'm kind of curious on what you guys think about it. So we're going to be comparing this grinder with a couple other things like the Commandant hand grinder. I'm probably going to compare it with a Niche Zero and the Baratza Encore. Hopefully I'll get all of those comparisons done before I send this off to one of my friends toward the end of the month. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it, and hopefully I get all your questions answered about it. If you have any questions about it, drop it in the comments below, and let's stay tuned, continue watching this video, and we're going to see what a pour over tastes like with this thing. Alright, so we're going to do the first brew ever for me with the Ode coffee grinder. I got a Kalita 155 dripper here, Archetype's home blend. It's about 8 days off roast. We're using an Akaya Lunar scale, and we'll be tasting out of the Fellow tasting jar. So I got this grinder set to 3, and I already poured in the beans in here. So we're going to go ahead and test my first impressions on this grinder, on how it sounds, how the function of it, and the taste, and just how user-friendly it is. So I'm like right in the center of the pour-over range here since I've never used this grinder. I'm just going to take a first initial guess on that and see how it goes. So we're going to slide that in there, put this lid back on, and see how this goes. So apparently this has an auto shut off feature, so let's go ahead and see how that works. Alright, so first impression on the grinding, I'm curious on how this auto off feature works because it turned off automatically. I clicked the button again and I heard some more beans grinding shortly after that, which means that it didn't get everything first try in there. So we're going to do the little knocking feature on the side. I did notice that it shook way more than I expected. Not sure why on that. For the most part, pretty clean, though, coming out of it. There's a few grounds on top of the bin here. So we're going to pop off that lid. I'm going to give it a little shake just to get all the grounds to settle off of this top lip here. And we're going to pour into the dripper. So that seems to flow pretty well from this into the dripper. I had to like shake it around a little bit to get it around the fins, as I would call them. But it seemed like it did a very good job of not, like I felt like I had good control pointed in there versus something like, I felt like I had more control like than the Encore basket per se when you dump that in there, just because of those little fins. I was mainly testing to see if I was going to get any grounds on the outside of the filter, and it doesn't look like I did. Alright, so I've got the carafe preheated already, and I'm aiming for 256. I did a 16 grams in and 16 grams out my water. So 16 grams in, so I'm doing a 1:16 ratio, which would be 256. And I got the Stag EKG at 202. We're going to go ahead and pour a little bit here on top, and then give it a 30-second bloom. Alright, and we're going to go to do the first pour now. Ignore the beeping noise on the scale because I accidentally set it to the wrong mode because I typically use the auto feature for espresso, and I forgot that I had it turned on there because I used my flare a little bit earlier in the day. So I'm not going to have the actual total drawdown time on here, but it'll at least give me somewhat of an idea of kind of where we're at. And I'm not the greatest at pour-overs. Primarily my brew method is espresso. You can see the Flare 58 I have back here. That's my typically daily driver. And then I got the robot over here. And then I have another espresso machine in the office. So typically that's what I do brew with. However, I do use the fellow dripper often at my office when I do pour-overs. And my current pour-over method is with the fellow dripper and a Commandant C40 with the red clicks in it. So that's kind of where I've been at on everything here. So looking at the bed of grounds, it looks pretty uniform, which is a good start. I'm going to go ahead and just discard this top part of it here, and we're going to pour it into the drain. I said pour it in the drain, but I meant just set it in the drain. I did not pour the coffee in the drain. That would defeat the purpose of this video a little bit. Hopefully that'll cool it down a little bit. Now, I am quite the fan of this little jar from Fellow. Just looks nice, and it feels great to drink from. It does keep it a little hot because it's a dual walled, so it doesn't cool down as quickly. But it's nice to be able to just pick it up and carry it wherever you want. If you do brew straight into it, I found that the cup gets pretty hot when you carry it even through the dual wall. So that's just something to think through if you are looking at purchasing one of these. It's a very well-balanced cup of coffee. It seems a little weak than I would typically like it, so maybe that means I need to just grind a little bit finer next time I did it, but this is my first thing. I definitely feel like it's tasting better than the Encore that I have with the M2 upgrades from a few years back. It's been a while since I've used that grinder. I'm going to get another one here for a review soon on it. Overall, it seems pretty well balanced. You're getting the sweetness from the cup, the clarity in the cup. This has 64 millimeter flat burrs, which is going to be similar to the burrs that are going to be in the DF Turn grinder at $450, which is currently where that lies. But this is at $300, so it's quite a bit cheaper for that. But that other one does espresso. Yeah, overall, I think anybody would be happy with it on my first initial impression with it. I do think that I'm getting a better cup out of my Commandant though, but I'm going to save that for another video and another comparison down the road to kind of see back to back which one is a little bit better. Yeah, so initially it worked pretty well. This cup slides in and out a little bit better. It's a little messy, but they did give you a brush, which I actually really like in there. I love the finish of it. The finish looks great. You just do have to, in my opinion, tap that button twice just to kind of get the rest of the grounds out. It's nice that it has that auto off feature, but I don't think that's really exactly the greatest in my opinion, but it's not a deal breaker for this grinder. So ultimately, I think it's worth the money.